You remember just the other day, people
Right.
from Ndunguni village
Yes.
were evicted from their areas,
homes, yes.
their homes and
Yes.
all that. And we saw several politicians on that place, and
Yes.
they were fighting hard until I saw our honorable was put in cell
Yes.
for some time, and other guys.
Yes.
So my question is, did you participate in helping these people from Ndungune? Did you play any role in that point?
Not quite. You see, land matters very emotive, and the approach you take to land has to be very comprehensive,
Yeah.
and it cannot be a battle in the streets. In fact, a battle in the streets would be indicative of then a failure of leadership.
Yes.
To first give direction, and second to sort out any issue that may be of contention. Now, I'll take you back to my post, the very contentious post
Yes.
that we just discussed. That in that post I mentioned that the government itself has failed us. The government, as much as we are a part of this government, and as much as we are then counted as being part of then the Mount Kenya group, the government has not done us justice. I mentioned that much of our land was annexed by TARDA.
Yes.
The other bit was annexed and is what we refer to as the Mbeere Game Reserve.
Yes.
The last bit that has been annexed is what is referred to as the Mbeere Settlement Scheme. These are lands that belong to Mbeere South. If we take the example of the Mbeere Settlement Scheme, there have been then indication of titles being issued from as long as I can remember. Growing up, it was a story that was always told. If you're indeed part of Mbeere South, then these titles must have been issued. A very long time ago. Right? If you look at the annexation of land in the name of the Mbeere Game Reserve, we look at the benefits of Mbeere Game Reserve vis-a-vis the opportunity cost of that land to the community. We are looking at what we would then do with that land if it was not the Mbeere Game Reserve. The benefit would be tremendous to the community. It's not justifiable why we have Mbeere Game Reserve. It has not been developed to be of interest, of commercial interest. I started by saying that politics without economics is literally symbol without substance. You give us a game reserve, but out of that game reserve, you've literally just annexed our land. We don't have any financial benefit from it. It is of no use to us, apart from the fact that you have taken it away from us. It is useless being used in that regard. That is a part of land that needs to then revert back. The ownership needs to revert back to the community. Because then with community ownership, we derive more benefit from that land. The same with the settlement scheme.
Yes.
And TARDA land, like I said, was annexed. It cannot be justifiable. How TARDA acquired all our land without clear transactions that can be shown how they acquired it. Now, why I did not take part in that is because then it's a failure on the part of leadership. Really, the first thing you should do when you have a problem is when you come into leadership, address the issue comprehensively. If it is court, you have to go to court, go to court. If it is parliament, you need to address it through parliament, but address the issue. Don't wait to deal with the symptoms of a disease. So you wait until the policemen come to evict our people from their land, rightfully their land,
Yes.
and then you want to go and get arrested. I mean, that is not leadership. That's not how you deal with problems, right?
Yeah.
So there's no way I'm going to be a part of anything like that. You see, it is a failure. Where you would find me is if it was we are instituting proceedings against TARDA for the acquisition of our land, illegal acquisition of our land. That is where I would address it from.
Yeah.
Right? So then I'd let those that want to go and play to the gallery, right? you're being captured, being arrested by police, and you're seen as then a savior of the community, but in effect, you're just a failed leader, because then that is no solution to the problem. In fact, you offer nothing. You're literally behaving like a layman, because you should then advise the community on how to deal with the issue, and deal with the issue from its historical inception and to the logical conclusion. That is what a leader does. So I will not be a part of being arrested.
But through their struggle,
Yes.
we saw people being taken back to their homes, and we also saw the government was trying to put some structures for
Humanitarian.
Humanitarian grounds.
You see, like I said, that is dealing with a symptom.
Yes.
Right? It should never have happened in the first place if we had effective leadership.
All right.
I mean, if you're elected, we ask for this work because then we must be able to demonstrate that we know the resources of Mbeere South, the problems of Mbeere South, and we have ways of dealing with the problems and exploitation of the resources for the benefit of the community, right? Now, if we are not able to see that we have a problem in TARDA's ownership of land and control of the resources, including water,
yes,
which in my understanding is almost a crime against humanity. You do not take all the land that is next to the river, then the dams, you stock the dams with crocodiles, and people are then eaten by crocodiles every day.
Sure.
And no one is addressing that. And if we go back to where you acquired that land, it is not in any justifiable way, right? And then as a leader, I cannot address that and deal with that. I wait until the policemen are coming to evict people from their rightful pieces of land, and then I want to go and get arrested, and then deal with the symptoms of giving people blankets and food, and I don't do my things that way, right? If there's a problem, we deal with it head on, right? We don't hide and then use it for political capital, right?
Yeah.
That is it was just not right.
What's your take?
But the community says that actually these things happened.
Yes.
They were destroying the property and they were chased away.
Yes.
But they were brought back.
Yes.
Now the leaders you are talking about, the leaders in the people's heart, they must come along and assist them to catch up in the side. Where were you at this time? That's the simple question.
You see, the first thing you must first understand is I don't have the mandate of the people as yet, right?
Yeah.
I'm merely aspiring to the post,
Yes.
right? It's like asking me, how was CDF allocated, right? I'm not yet seated in that office. I don't have the mandate. So I do not have a direct, what do you call it? A direct, it would be locus standi, really. I do not have a direct.
You don't that you mean
Yes.
you are not the best placed.
Yes,
you're not
I'm not best placed.
to
Yes,
be
to
in that,
deal
to
with that.
deal with that
Only
situation.
yes, only I can say that the person that is
Best
then
placed,
The current leadership.
Must
then
start.
whose mandate it is to deal with it has then failed, because you don't wait until people are getting arrested and evicted, then make your move. The move should have been made early, very early.
Ben, we saw Madam Mbuthia was very vocal. She actually had a lot to do with the humanitarian grounds.
Yes.
I don't think he had any humanitarian there.
Yeah, she went there and she tried to
Going there is not a
negotiate.
humanitarian.
Yeah, trying to negotiate.
You see, the government, the police force, they are also human,
Yes.
right? It was during rainy season.
Yeah.
Kuna watoto pale, kuna wamama, alafu these guys walikuwa kwa shule. Walitorokea kwa shule.
Yes.
Right? So in real sense, in common sense, we don't need to buy stories, so and so did this and did this. It was to happen in one way or another. These people were to be taken somewhere by the government. Since now the government had not allocated the land or bought a land for these people, wangerudishwe tu pale kwanza. You see, ukafuatilia history ya TARDA, it's a cartel thing. There are some people who want that land, but at the end of the day, the community wanakuwa the sacrificial lamb, because just as the engineer said, atungefika hapo kwa demolition na kwa kufikia watu wananyang'anywa nyumba zao, mashamba zao. before this lady tells you I'm packing and going, what have you done to try and avoid this? Did you just activate the thing and give her fare to go? Or did you try to sit her down and talk and do some consultative meeting with her people and the marriage counselors? You see, what action did you do before it reaches a place that she packed everything and went? You see, so some things, let us not tusisimamishange basi nyuma, simama mbele. Unajua hii basi upita saa fulani fulani. Be strategic.
Yes.
Right. Be strategic and try to handle these things in order. You see, and Makiu, this happens a lot to politicians. They like that. Uliona wengi sana walikuja na malori kuleta
Yeah,
unga
yeah,
nini,
walikuja.
nini. Yeah. To them it is a plus to them.
Yes, of course.
To them kwa ni plus, because huwa wanataka kutafuta kura hapo. Hata nilisimama na hawa watu nini. Ulisimama na hawa watu na ulikuja pale ukashika bundle ukapigwa picha, wewe ukarudi kwako Karen.
Exactly.
Ama ukarudi kwako Runda, ama ukarudi kwako Muthaiga, ama Embu Bulubali.
Yes.
But huyu mtu alibaki hapa akinyeshewa.
Lakini hivyo ndio angefanya.
Exactly.
Yako kuwa na other choice. Si angepeleka tu because the leader there has failed to protect them before they are evicted. So the best choice angewapeleka tu chakula.
It's all about for this common mwananchi, the victim, afungue macho aone. By the way, ili tufika hapa tunasaidiwa kama kwa viwete.
Yes,
Where have they been?
Yes,
Walikuwa wapi mambo
exactly.
yote? Na TARDA hii kesi yako kwanza jana.
No.
Hii kesi yako kwanza jana. Walianza kitambo. You see. So kuna vile wasitafute sympathy sana.
Okay. Kuna maswali pia. We usually have a link that
Yes.
we share to social media platforms, and
Right.
people do have questions, and they raise their questions, and we pick their questions, and we promise them that we will ask this question. There's someone who is here asking you this question.
Right.
Why did you make a decision of being an aspirant in Mbeere South?
Yes.
And there's a series of questions.
Right.
What are we lacking in Mbeere South? How will you solve the problem
Yes.
in Mbeere South?
Yes.
How will your legislation help the people of Mbeere South?
Right.
There are so many questions.
Yes.
We will deal with them. How is the youth's portion in Mbeere South CDF Kitty?
Yes.
And then what innovative plan do you have in the people of Mbeere South? So those are the questions. That's one person asking many questions.
Yes.
So I don't know which one you want to start from, where you
Yes.
want to start from.
Yes. I think it's a splendid question because it deviates from the norm.
Yes.
Really, when someone starts asking about what we have in terms of innovation, this is a guy that is thinking. You
Yes,
see?
yes.
He's not thinking about the ordinary thing that we're gonna build classrooms. You're gonna, what are we going to innovate that's gonna be different in Mbeere South? I think it's something that is very interesting. Now, there was a series of questions. First, why I decided to run
Yes.
member of National Assembly. Mbeere
And not
South.
MCA or
Yeah,
the others.
quite.
Government.
Quite. Now, I'll start by saying that we have spoken at length regarding our position in Mbeere South. We all see it. Mutiso, you see it. Eric will see it. You see it.
Yes.
Right? But amongst us, like I said, who is willing to then come forth and be counted
Yes.
to make a change? That is where it starts, right? That was what firstly informed me, right? And I felt that I could stand in that gap, right? Because I see things that have not been done, that could be done to improve a lot in Mbeere South, right? The second thing is that I'm part and parcel of Mbeere South. I also say that we need someone of the community with the good of the community at heart. And I believe that also describes me. When we talk about the problems there are and what I'm going to do different to then get results, then I'd want to stratify the problems in Mbeere South according to the ministries, both in local government, in the county government, and in national governments. You'd have to look at problems that way. You'd have to classify problems according to those categories. If it is education, you look at the Ministry of Education, that is a national government and both national and county government, and see in Mbeere South what the problems are in education. If it is agriculture, we look at the Ministry of Agriculture, both national and county, and also look at Mbeere South in that regard. Now, it would take a long time to go through all the ministries for me to explain then what I do in every single ministry. But that is the way I would look at things. I would look at, say, if you're looking at the Ministry of Natural Resources and there's mines and geology, I would look at what we have in that regard in Mbeere South. We have gemstones in Mbeere South that have not been literally streamlined and brought on board as a mainstream source of income. People mine, we all know, but it has never really been regularized. Just like Mira, people farm, it makes us a lot of money, but it's never really been regularized. So the first thing would be to regularize all these things. If it is mines and geology, liaise with the mines and geology department and make it a regular activity that happens in Mbeere South. See what assistance we can get. If it is agriculture of Mira, make it official that we farm Mira, right? And it's commercially farmed. It is recognized both by national government, county government, and all governments. And even liaise with government in terms of marketing this particular product. Not running away from it like it's something that is, when you run away from it, you distance yourself from it like it is something that is terrible, And that is our source of livelihood. In education, same way, I'd look at what are the gaps that we have in education. I mean, we went to school in Mbeere South. Personally, I went to a primary school called Kamurogo Primary School. All classes were mud then. The nursery school used to carry water to pour on the ground because the dust would be so much, and we'd then sweep. But in spite of that, we go through that system into secondary school and into the higher institutions of learning, right? Now, what problem do we have in terms of education? The problem that really is in Mbeere South in education is not in terms of classrooms and toilets and secondary schools. No. We need institutions of higher learning. We have the University of Embu, right? Everyone knows the University of Embu. Yeah. We know the University of Chuka, right? We know in Meru, we know Kemo. What do we have in Mbeere South in terms of an institution of higher learning?
Rueka.
It's only Rueka, technical. The dams, if we last with Kenjan and needed,
and the Makawani
an engineering school that deals with renewable energy, domiciled where the dams are, so that if we are practically then taking our pupils for attachment, they are interacting with the dam all through. That's a proposal that would work like magic. We had land in Mashanga that was in the University of Nairobi's land. The status, I tried to inquire about it the other day, and someone mentioned that is private land. Very curious, but that is one of the items we need to really then explore. Having institutions of higher learning, right? We develop it. We can even start small and grow it until it is a big university. If it is secondary schools, we need to have a school of national status, right? We need a school that is of, repute, like Alliance in Kikuyu. Yeah. I look at what we have in Mbeere South, and I talked about the natural resources. If it is building stone, it is locally available in Mbeere South. Building sand, all of it comes from Kiambere and all the streams in Mbeere South, right? We have all the resources. All we need is a good architect. And we have many architects in Mbeere South to do institutions that have never been done at a cost that is, we just need proper organization. So these are some of the things that I see. I'm just dealing with that particular one. Because even the lakes, that is as regards education. If we are talking about the Ministry of Agriculture, we just talked about the lakes in Mbeere South that are necessitated by the dams that are the eastern hydros. Now, if we even looked at a small item, like the fisheries department in the Ministry of Agriculture, And we approach them for fingerlings, just fingerlings to throw in the lake. In no time, we'd have so much fish in that place, so that we can supply the whole of Kenya with fish, just as we do electricity, right? That is how we need to approach development in Mbeere, step by step. If it is that is just fisheries. If we went into the animals, right? Liaise with the relevant government agencies. You just talked of shoes. I mean, how much leather do we have in the region? Not just in Mbeere. Ishiara market is the biggest livestock market. Has been for a very long time. Meaning the entire area is full of animals. Why don't we have an industry that turns leather down there? That is but a small item in the Ministry of Agriculture. And on. But it has to be so systematic that we look at items step by step and in a very systematic way and get everything in place.
So, in short, according to you, you should not just rely on CDF money.
No, in fact, that is the last place you should be looking for resources to develop a constituency. It is 100 million. Now, 100 million is very little money, I tell you. You must look for development partners. The first thing you need to understand is that when you are elected as a member of National Assembly, then the mandate of Mbeere South rests with you. You can approach the Israeli government, not on your strength, but on the strength of Mbeere South. Tell them to show you, in terms of innovation, you just talked of innovation, how we can then improve our agriculture. Because we said that we have all the ingredients. We have the sunlight that is very good for agriculture.
Yeah.
We have the water. We don't have to drill into the ground like they do in Israel, or even desalinate it, salty seawater. We have fresh water running on the surface. We have sunlight. We have very fertile land. Israel is a desert. They need to import soil. We do not need to import all of that. If we liaise with that, how far do you think we'd then take our agricultural sector?
Very far.
Right? In terms of infrastructure, if we look at what I was talking about, the stones, I mean, that is the biggest item to pave roads. All you need is aggregates, crush it. We have seen Tebere, the company in Mbeere South. It's actually in Mbeere South at the corner.
Ochoro.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That company supplies aggregates to the region. When they did Thiba Dam, there are no aggregates at Thiba. So they had to buy aggregates from Tebere. The next place we were looking was Mbeere South to get stone. It's such a big resource, yet our classrooms are.
In fact, the
are
best
mud.
sand
The best
in
sand.
Kenya comes from Mbeere.
Yes. We literally, we are living in an ocean of prosperity, but we are sitting on an island of poverty. Literally. That is what we need to see in Mbeere South. And with that understanding, then you can do something.
Actually, when you talk about those development and innovative issues, we know that your work mostly is based on legislation.
Yes.
The people will be working in the ground at the committee. Which matrix will you use to elect that committee so that it cannot fail you?
Because most of the leaders are failed.
By the committee.
Failed.
Yes.
And I repeat,
Yes.
failed by the, and then they keep themselves so busy at the national level,
Yes.
and leave these other guys to
work.
To
Yeah.
do everything. Yes.
So
No, it all boils down to leadership. Because if I'm working towards I want a certain result.
yeah,
The first item, I must work with people that are working in tandem with what I intend to achieve.
Same ideology.
Right? Not my tribesmen, not my village mates, no. As long as you're in Mbeere South,
But you guys, when you are campaigning, like you go and look guys there and say like nikiingia hapo nitakusort.
They reward their supporters.
Their
and
supporters.
sycophants.
Yes,
Yeah,
they are
you reward your
cronies.
sycophants by giving them tenders who are poor, even they don't know about architecture or about.
No. You see, the beauty about then my background is that I'm a civil engineer. What we're talking about is basically civil engineering. From roads to the water we're talking about, to even the agriculture, because the infrastructure has to be laid down. I'm very specific on quality, right? So in terms of them, if you build for me something, I would literally be teaching you on the items that I need to see, right? That is the other thing that we need to look at when we are then electing leaders. We need to look at their background, what they do, because I can only be as good as my background, right? Now, if my background was, say what, for the lack of a better example, I'm a police officer and I'm elected member of National Assembly, then my bias naturally, right?
Yeah.
Isn't towards law keeping, and I'm trying to force my way about because that's what policemen do.
And your word is final.
Yes,
Yeah.
and what I say has to be taken. That is not because I'm a bad person, but it's because that is my background. That is what I know how to do best, right? So if my background then resonates with what Mbeere South aspires to achieve, in this case, development in terms of roads, electricity, water, and all of that, then that is a good beginning for us, even before we go to the other items. Now, I'll choose people basically on merit, and if they rhyme in terms of how they do their things with what I intend to achieve at the end of the day. You know, the one thing that is never spoken about is the duration of time that you serve as, when you're given the mandate, it's a mandate for 5 years. 5 years is a long time. Very long time. In other countries, like the US, the president is given 4 years. And they arrive at that period because they know in 4 years, that is so much time to do what you set out to do. In 1 year, we should be able to see that you have achieved this. The second year, we are able to see. The third year, you're finishing what you set out to do. You see? You don't want to be elected, serve your 5 years, and come back and tell us there's something I did not finish. In fact, it's crazy. If I'm elected member of National Assembly, I'd not come after 5 years asking you guys to elect me again as member of National Assembly. No. I mean, that is like going to nursery school and getting stuck there. There's primary school, there's secondary, there's university to be done. You start at National Assembly, you should be able to graduate to Senate, graduate to something even bigger if you have built your name, graduate just like we see everyone else doing, right? Don't get stuck there. Don't come, you have retired, we give you member of National Assembly, 5 years you want to come back, and you have not done much. I mean, these are things we need to talk about. It cannot be.